Hi, welcome back to the second episode of Life with Jamie and More. So, I am really excited about this episode. Um, it's been on my mind for since I since I posted the first episode, but I've been toying with the ideas as to where I go with the second one, and I'm really excited to see where this one goes. But I want to thank everyone who's just been so supportive with the first episode, and I'd like to thank my wife Junko because she was really happy and really thrilled, and she really loved it as well. And she also there were things in the episode that she didn't know about. And I think that was actually quite special because I think she thought she knew everything. And of course, you don't because she was in she was in hospital. She was in the bed. She had the C-section. I was outside talking to mum and dad, and there was just so much going on, so many balls to juggle, and so many emotions to kind of process and get through. That you know, telling her that I was on the phone to mum and dad outside and crying and telling them about it was not really high on my list of things to be doing. So there we go. And so she really enjoyed it, and I've just had great feedback from people from all around, male and female. It's been fantastic, like husbands and wives, and my parents as well. So it's been fantastic. So thank you everyone, and I'll keep doing this. You know, if I can, I'll keep doing this as long as I can do it. And I would like to have some guests on. I'd like to have guests down the line for people not just to hear my story, but I think it's so important that we hear stories of other guys, husbands, fathers, their story about how they get on in this world, how they travel through this world, their frustrations, their challenges. Those things are so important, and I think we need to give them space to so we can so they can hear themselves say them as well, because that's really important. And also share if they can with others, and help a few others along the way. So this episode is about anger, and I had been trying to work out what this episode was going to be about, and I couldn't lock onto something, and I decided, I think it was yesterday night or last night, and I was like, you know what, no, I've got to go with this. I need to go with the anger. And anger it's such a bad word. It's such a word that we don't have anything positive to relate to anger, right? When someone says that word, it's like just negative, like negativity just fills the room. And I think that what I want to try and do is I want to talk about how I have dealt with that whole anger. Now, it's going to be difficult. I'm going to try my best on this, so bear with me. Okay. I grew up basically for a large amount of my life. I never thought I never classed myself as an angry person. Okay. And I think people who would know me would agree with that. They never saw me kind of lose my shit and like just fly off the handle, and it was generally that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was just not who I was, and I was pretty calm. Like, so what happened? Okay, well, hello, enter Jamie into the scene, and then also a couple of years later, we have Joshua. So what happens? We know that I had the trauma from when Jamie was born. We know that. I know that. And so that was simmering there, simmering away under the surface. I piled on work on top of the trauma and the grief, and I never really dealt with that, as we know. I talked about that last lesson a little bit. Last lesson to today. Sorry, talked about that last time. And then I realized that I had become someone who just got really angry, and it was such a strange feeling, because I had never had these angry feelings before like this. I got frustrated with things. I got frustrated with work and things like that before. That was pretty normal, right? But the anger was something that, it was like this angry monster, like this monster inside of me that would just come up, and it would be there, and it would raise itself in a way that I was unable to tame this monster. This monster just would almost rise up, and I couldn't control it. I couldn't control this monster. A lot of the time it would just be like, there it was. And a lot of people never saw this. Because, I managed to kind of keep that monster away, kind of locked away in its little cage. However, it did actually come out. It did come out, and it came out in a form that I didn't even realize. It came out with my wife, and she brought my attention to this, and she said, "You are talking down to me. You are talking down to me, and like I don't like it, and it's really rude." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, and it was and she was so right. She was so right about this. I'm going to come back to that, but she was so right. And what I was doing is I was not able to control my anger and my frustrations that I had going on. All that grief, all that trauma was all there, pile on the stress of running the business, and no output at all going on at that time. So it was all going in, and so I would let this kind of anger off at my wife in my work, and I just didn't realize until she actually brought it to my attention, and she had to keep reminding me. She had to keep telling me and saying, "Today, you were so rude." I felt like really. I can't think of the way she described, and it eludes me now how she described it. But I felt like I really had screwed up. I really had done something wrong, because it was happening again and again, and it was just, and I was disrespecting my wife, my lovely wife, who was helping me through and still helps me through everything. The person who, was going along this road, our journey with Jamie. She was on that road, and here I was, just not respecting her, and I think that was kind of like I would say like the entry into knowing that I had this kind of anger and this frustration inside of me. So it came out. This anger came out, but it also, that was the start. And then I had episodes with the kids. The kids would do something, and I would get really angry. I'd get really frustrated, and I would feel this monster come up, and it was very hard to control this monster. Oh my God! It was like just, it overtook everything. And because I am not a physical guy. Okay, I am so not a physical guy. I'm like, I remember talking to my therapist the other day. By the way, we'll come to therapy in a minute, okay? Because that's also really important. Talking to my therapist the other day, telling her how I think I actually have a bit of trauma from when I was, I think I was in high school, and I was in like getting changed for PE, and this guy came over and he started punching me, and I had never been punched in my life. I'd never had a fight in my life, never created a fight, never nothing, right? And this guy came over and he started just punching me, and to this day I don't know why he did it. And all I did was I just defended myself. I just put my kind of elbows up like this, and everyone just stood around watching him. All his mates were just watching, and I still remember this to this day. So that actually was actually quite traumatic for me to remember that episode many years on. And I don't even think my parents I don't even know. I don't think he ever told my parents this. Classic kid, just not telling parents everything. Sorry, Mum and Dad. Anyway, I wasn't hurt, so I was okay. I think it was a traumatic experience, and I've been living with that kind of trauma for years. Anyway, so getting back to the physical. So I've never been physical, right? I've never been a physical guy. And so my anger would more transcend into what I would say and how I would talk to my kids. And it was just like, there would be a point where I'd catch myself and I'd be like, what am I doing? And I'd have to stop, And there were moments that were really tough, because there were moments when Jamie would, he would almost go into a fit. I can kind of pick multiple moments of that he would go into a fit. He would have a meltdown. Could be at home, could be at a restaurant even. There were loads of those. But anyway, he would, if the food was hot. Now, when I say hot, I mean like temperature. He would put it in his mouth and he would just go absolutely apeshit. He would just, if it wasn't lukewarm, he couldn't deal with it, and he wasn't able to, the concept of blowing the food and cooling it off, because he was so hungry, he would just get straight into it, right? So he would dive into the food, avoid any kind of attempt at us to try and help him to stop, slow down, whatever. He'd dive in, he'd touch it to his lip or get it in his mouth or something, and he would just lose control. He'd melt down, and I would get so angry, because, and I knew what was going to happen as well, because he would do one of two things. He would either just clear the table. He would just use his hand. He would scream, like, ah, like this. He would scream, and then he would use one of his arms, and he would just almost like a baseball bat. He would just clear the table in front of him. That's what he would do. So me or my wife would have to either be on have reactions, have these really quick reactions to grab his arm. And so you'd grab his arm, and then he would, as you would grab his arm to stop the food flying off the table, he would then either get his head, and he would bang his head straight down on the table. And I mean, I know it sounds really intense, and it is, and it was very, very intense. And I'm able to talk about it now, because it was things that I can work through that. But these episodes, I'm pretty sure, happen for people out there. And it was almost like probably a weekly occurrence for us with feeding Jamie. So I would get, when these happened, my lion would just, well, I'm calling it a lion now. It's gone from a monster to a lion. We're going to call it a lion. This lion would rise up, and it would get there, and I would just get so angry because it's like, you know, because I had told him we had helped him trying to cool his food down, and he just hadn't. He didn't want to know. He didn't want to know. It was just hunger was overriding anything, and then anger overrode his one, and then anger overrode mine. So it was just really frustrating. It was very frustrating, and as you can imagine, if you're in a restaurant, in a family restaurant in Japan, and that happens, it's embarrassing. I'm not gonna deny it. It's embarrassing. It's people will look, and hello, I'm a foreigner. And people look even more. They look over and they're like, "What's going on? What's the screaming for?" And you just have to. You go into your world. Basically, we just went into our world, and I wouldn't lose my shit in the restaurant. I wouldn't lose my shit in the restaurant. I managed to kind of control that monster a bit more, but I would still get angry inside. I'd be like, "Oh Jesus, man! Like how many times?" But it was just embarrassing. It was like, hello, here we are. Can't we control our son? Because no, they don't know him, right? As far as they're concerned, he's just some kid just going ape shit and just flicking their food around the restaurant. So it was really hard. It was really hard. It got better. He got better actually with that, and also, more importantly for me, because I got better, and I got better because, and I got better after I went to therapy. I started therapy, and I want to talk a little bit about this because I won't go into the whole details of it. I think I'll save that for another spectrum of where we go with this. But I got into therapy, and I was able to talk about a lot of these things, and I was able to talk about Jamie and the trauma I had with him. And it was hard. It was really hard. I remember the first therapist I had is I kind of feel bad for him actually because I think he was very good, and I remember getting into it with him. It was an online therapy session, and I remember getting into him, and for about an hour, and I got emotional. I started crying, and then at the end of it, I felt like, okay, this was really weird. This is not what I thought therapy was. And then for a couple of days, that day and a couple of days after, is that I just felt like it was not what I believed therapy was. And so I was kind of a bit, I was angry because I was like, everyone talks about, therapy helping, and I don't feel like I've been helped. I feel the total opposite of being helped here. Because I just felt so drained for like 2 days. And so I stopped. I didn't do another episode. I didn't do another session with my therapist. And I it was, I managed to move past this, and thanks to my family kind of saying to me, give it another go. I think you need to, don't give up on just this guy. Maybe you didn't connect with this guy. Try again, get into another one. And so I did. And now I am able to, I can feel that monster come up. And even today, wonderful day actually, but even today, I had that anger. Jamie was, he was gold actually. He was fantastic. And then I think I was tired. I just got tired. I'm just self-analyzing myself now. I was tired. I've been running around playing with the water guns. I was physically tired, and so was he. And whenever I'm physically tired like that, is that I find it difficult to. I find it really difficult to manage that emotional control, and so I was like that today, and he wouldn't do what I wanted him to do in the time frame that I was giving him, and it was tough, and we got home, and I just felt like, I just felt pissed off, and I know that, I can't be angry at him. He's tired, but what I can do is I had to just focus onto me. I had to just come back to me and ensure that I was able to be in that headspace. And so I took 15 minutes away. I said to my wife, I said, I'm just going to go down 15 minutes. I'm just going to go lie down 15 minutes. And that's what I did. Just lay down on the bed. And I came back, and I was a bit better. I was a bit more. I did a little bit of kind of breathing exercises, and I came back, and I was a little bit better. And so it's a challenge. Anger is a challenge, and of course our anger generally is, or my anger generally is orientated out to someone else, right? My anger and frustration is always generally targeted outside of me. But what I need to do is I need to work on what's going on inside of me. And that's actually so much more important than the other. Because that's how we can control. That's how I can control. That's how I can control myself. And therapy is really helping me. It's really helping me. It's allowing me to give me a space where I can talk about issues that have come up. They might be really small issues, but they're actually quite important issues. And my therapist will listen. And my therapist, she'll also challenge me. She'll kind of just throw me those questions back. She'll know when's the right time to kind of throw me a question. And I think it's really, really important to do. I am I know that therapy is expensive, and I am very fortunate that I am in a position to do it, and not everyone is in that position. So it is something which I have to make sure that I really do get into and make it work. Because for me to be the better person with all this around my family, and for me to be able to tackle challenges with Jamie at work, all these challenges, mental challenges, for me to be the best I can be, I need to keep doing this therapy. It grounds me, and my anger, I'm able to control so much more. That lion, I'm so much better at controlling that lion. And what I do is I think what I do, if I can kind of just self-analyze what I do, I actually pull it back into myself. I actually, rather than looking at the person that's irritating me, I actually bring it back into me, and I think about me. And it's actually a really hard thing to do, because you've got to think, how am I need to look after myself right now. I need to regulate. I got to try and regulate my inner monster. and it's really hard. It's so hard. So there we go. I hope that this has worked. I actually have a little thing which I want to talk about, because a therapist of mine told me about this wheel of emotions. If you Google it, bring up, it's a thing called Wheel of Emotions, and if you have a look at it, it's really interesting, because it works. You start from the inside and you work out. Okay, so you find your emotion on the inside, and then you work out, and it gives you options as to how you really are. Because sometimes we don't actually, well, a lot of the time, we actually don't know why we are angry, why we are happy, why we are sad, why we are, all these emotions we don't actually really quite know. And I've used this, and I actually used it today, because I was like, why the hell am I angry? Why the hell am I angry? And what's the kind of target? And it was actually frustration. I built it out to frustration. I was frustrated with Jamie, and the frustration for me was because I was physically tired. So the Wheel of Names, not the Wheel of Names, the Wheel of Emotions is where you want to be looking at. Yeah, go ahead and check it out. So that is it for today. I hope that I found it so easy to talk about anger. I thought this was going to be really difficult to talk about. I've managed to actually do it, and I've managed to hopefully get through what I want to say. Number 2, done. Thank you everyone so much for listening. Please share. We're on YouTube as well. We can actually I make a video of this. There you go. Waving to the video, and so you can actually see me. Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you later for the next one, number 3. Take care. Bye.